Hello and welcome back to the A and B Sides podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Isaac.
And I'm Zach, and today we'll be taking a look at the newest album by Cook Thugless, YIKES. But before we get into that, I just want to take a quick look at the Grammy nominations that just recently came out. I have some gripes with it. Isaac here also has some gripes with it, so let's start with you.
Absolutely. I want to first say that all the nominations that were named by the Grammys are quality to an extent. All of them are quite good to very good, and I really do enjoy a lot of what the Grammys not named, and I can't say that they did a terrible job. And all the people that were named are definitely deserving, and the winners will be deserving no matter what. But with that being said, it absolutely had some problems that I will address here. The first one, a minor one, was Charlie XCX's How I'm Feeling Now that came out early this year. Did not get mentioned at all, which does make sense. It was a smaller album, but it was a great album in my opinion. I think it was great handling how the emotions of the people around the world were when quarantine first started, wanting to go out and party, but also wanting to stay safe. I think she encaptured that super well, and I can't say that it was bad at all. Great album, great singles, definitely check it out. But the bigger problem was them completely ignoring Abel of The Weeknd greatness. Wow, he dropped a great album this year. Some great tracks on there. One of the most popular tracks of the year, Blinding Lights, on his new album After Hours. Just a great album, critically acclaimed, super popular. Not sure how he got exiled from the Grammys. People are saying it was because he is going to perform at the Super Bowl, which is going to be super fun, instead of performing at the Grammys. He was going to do both, but something didn't pan out, and people are saying that that's why he didn't get any nominations. But either way, really missed the mark on that one. And Zach has another one they really missed the mark on.
Oh yeah, like I said, all the artists are deserving of their nominations, and I'm sure they put out incredible albums. But one, prime album that they just completely whiffed on, and that didn't even mention the artist, was Mac Miller's postmortem album, Circles. I listened to Circles, and that's just really what got me to Mac Miller as a whole. And then I went back and listened to his earlier albums, and I just have no idea how they just completely missed the mark. Because from what I'm hearing from you, Isaac, it's one of the best post-mortem albums that you have ever heard.
I have. This is a very great album. Definitely missed it on that one. So is there anything else you have to say about it?
And no, I just think he got robbed, just like The Weeknd. I feel like the Grammys this year were okay to an extent, but they just missed a lot of the bigger artists, and you could say they missed by a large margin.
Absolutely. I will not be tuning into the Grammys.
Neither will I.
It's been a tradition of mine to completely ignore the Grammys, except for, I obviously pay attention to who gets nominated, who wins, but I have never tuned in. Absolutely will not this year, but I hope that the people that do win are thankful, because they are definitely deserving. So getting into the album we're going to talk about today, Cook Thugless dropped this album early in the year titled YIKES. Cook Thugless is a band from New Jersey, from New Brunswick, New Jersey. One comparison that I can strongly make is that they remind me a lot of a band called Injury Reserve. Injury Reserve is a hip-hop band, whereas Cook Thugless is kind of a hip-hop band, kind of a rock, kind of a pop band. We'll get into that later. But the voices in it, the people that deliver the vocals, are 99 Pines, Koi Cola, and Jay Slim. Whereas the producers are named Mistake Boy, Jay, Riley Bryce, and Brian Kleins. All of which I think are talented, all of which deliver at each part. The album was 9 tracks, 27 minutes, and let's get into talking about it.
Now, starting with the first song on the album, YIKES, Pink Pilot. Now, this was actually how we discovered this band, and it is their biggest single by far. They actually released it as like a little teaser to the actual album, and I will say it definitely deserves being its biggest song, like the album and the artist's biggest song, because I just think it has a good beat. It's catchy. The intro is slow at first, but after listening through it a couple more times, I actually really like the intro and how it like molded into the actual song. I just think the song is solid on basically all aspects of it.
Yeah. Every front of this song is super fun. That's one of the biggest compliments I can give to the song, is that it is unapologetically fun every moment of this track. And there are some fantastic vocals from the lead singer, some really good rap flows on the first section of the song that I thought were really cool, and just a really fun beat with a really hard-hitting great bass. All the good things from this track. And that leads into our second track, Bad Luck, which is kind of in two separate parts that I could distinguish.
Yeah.
The beginning part, which is the first minute, and then it goes into the next part. Both parts were really good. It was another fantastic beat. You'll find a trend here that this band is really good at delivering good production, great beats every time. Most of the time, I should say.
Yeah.
Partway in the middle was really cool switching moment, a really cool mid part that kind of bridged the gap between the first part and the second part. Really good there. The main gripe I have with this song is that there's some really weird vocal delivery with the chorus. But other than that, it was a slow and beautiful track that I really liked.
Yeah, I wouldn't really say it was slow. Like at the very beginning, it was for sure super slow. But then that was also another of my main gripes with the song, because that transition between the intro into the actual super upbeat and catchy part of the song was just super weird. I feel like the intro abruptly started and then stopped and then just boom, upbeat song, and we were just supposed to completely forget about the intro. So I just thought that was super weird. But other than that, I did end up really enjoying the song, but the intro is kind of still a little turn off for me in this whole song. But that's really all I really have to say for the song. But then the next song, F the Second Floor. Beginning this album, I thought after the first two songs, I really got a feel for the album's identity. But then it just completely flips around 180 on my head, and it hits us with this screaming, angry, and you could even say a jumbled song of a third track. It was just insanely weird to me, honestly.
Yeah, the album definitely takes a turn on this. I can't say whether it's for the better or for the worse, but it's an interesting change to what the first two were, where they were kind of a rap and singing combination. This one brings more of a screamy, kind of a upbeat tempo type of a song. Definitely an angry delivery, like Zach had said. It's all about partying on the roof and saying no to the second floor just because it's not as fun. It's kind of meant to be a have fun track. Some weird lyrics here and there talking about bowling balls going through the floor just because why not. And I think that there were some good rap flows on here. Even the screaming flows were okay. I think the tempo of the song was good. It was a positive thing. And the second verse was actually legitimately a beautiful verse. I think that you left that out a little bit, but the second verse is really beautiful, a really good delivery vocally, and it's taking a little break from the screaming and going into a more melodic singing, which I thought was really good. And all in all, I think this is a fun track and a different track than the first two. That leads right into the fourth track, California, which is another interesting track. I think this is arguably the best vocals on the album. I think it has some really beautiful singing, has a super fun and great beat with some really good synthesizers on there, really good synth, really good bass. It's kind of a track about doing drugs and getting lost in California, and that can really be put in any setting, so it's pretty relatable to most people. Not the drugs part, but just getting lost in whatever you're doing and having fun. And I think it's just a good track, but I can't say it's a great track. And there is one part that I thought was super good. The scaling keyboard throughout the track was really great to me.
You know, I like this song, but I just can't find myself to love this song, like you said, because I like the lyrics, I like the beat on it, but I just can't help but feel like in the refrain, especially, and then in a couple of other parts, it just feels so like jumbled. Like there are just so many sounds in the song that it just doesn't feel clean at parts. And I don't know if that's just a single gripe by me or if other people can hear that, but it's just that kind of took away some of the niceness or whatever I felt about the song. But I still think it's a good song. I just wouldn't say it's a great song. But getting into the next song, Bonkerz. Now, when we got to California, I thought the album just had this one like little hiccup, this little angry song, just like in the middle, just plopped it right in there. But then we go back to angry here, alright? So in Bonkerz, it's back to that angry feel, it's back to like F the Second Floor. And I just feel like if you were to take both of these and compare them, like between Bonkerz and F the Second Floor, I want to say I feel Bonkerz does it a tad bit better. I want to say I think Bonkerz is just a slightly better. I'm going to say it's incredible, but I feel like it's just slightly better.
I have to say I disagree with you here. I think that F the Second Floor did have some better production on it. I think this is one of the more average beats on the whole album. One thing that this song does a lot better than any other song on this is the flows. The flows on this were fantastic. The timing on it was really good. They would go from pretty slow flows into a really fast flow, some 7/8 flow, which is really difficult, so that was really cool. So the instrumental did get better by the end of it, but I don't think it was enough for the song to come back for me. I would say the first Angry song was a bit better, in my opinion, but this one just underwhelmed me. Let's put it that way. A little underwhelming.
That's fair.
Yeah. The next one, Centrifuge, was another fun beat. Let's just put it this way, it's just another fun beat.
Yeah.
There's nothing else I can say. It's just always fun beats. That's one thing that this band is very good at, is making a fun beat. But there were some lackluster vocals that turned me off a little bit. It was the least interesting song, in my opinion. The vocals were okay. It didn't have any of the fun flows and rapping. It didn't have any of the screaming parts, which I think, while can get a little annoying, are still interesting, to say the least. But I think this one was just a little boring.
Now, this is another one where we're going to have to disagree on. Now, Centrifuge, I'm just going to put it this way. Let's say you were a nerd, alright? You were a science nerd and you were trying to listen to this song. I feel like you would enjoy it a lot more than the average person, because Centrifuge, the thing that goes round and round and round. I will agree with Isaac here in a couple parts that the lyrics were a bit weird here and there, and they weren't like up to par with the rest of the tracks in the album. But this is where I disagree. I feel like the symbolism that the lyrics put out is actually kind of nice. And if you really delve into the lyrics, the symbolism can be like super, super nice, especially how it talks about how Centrifuge going around and around just all jumbled up, and how there's this person in the middle. And I just think it's a pretty decent song, honestly. But now, in the next song, 2001, it's a slower song. It really is. But I don't feel like it's a terrible song. It feels like one of those songs that you just close your eyes to and kind of drift off to. Mm-hmm. It's one of those slower songs you could put on a chill playlist, and it wouldn't be too crazy out of the water from the other chill songs on the playlist.
For sure. This had beautiful production. One of the best things it did was the mixing on it. The mix on it was really good. It made you really get into it. Like Zach said, you can definitely get lost in this track. And a really spacey feeling, kind of like a Travis Scott vibe almost.
Oh yeah.
Really cool in my opinion. Intriguing lyrics. Probably the second best vocals on the track list, I think. But the second vocalist was not as good in my opinion. It was one of the slower tracks. Some really good auto-tune, which I thought was very impressive. Not a lot of people can pull that off. So I think it was a good track all in all. I definitely come back to this one. The next song was Mosh Pit, which is a kind of a creepy start, kind of an eerie start to the song. Some really great flows. Like I said on my notes, great flows. The flows on here were the best, hands down, fantastic. The screaming did hit really well on this song, probably the best out of all the screaming parts.
Yeah.
And the synths hit really well, so this was a positive track in my opinion.
I will 100% agree with all the aspects Isaac said here, because Mosh Pit, I don't think you mentioned this, but it is actually the #1 song on their popular charts right now. It doesn't have the most plays, but it is #1 on the Spotify charts. And I feel like it's for a good reason. It's a catchy song, it sounds hype, and I just feel like out of all the 3 angry songs on this album, it is done the best, and by far done the best. I just think it's like one of the better songs, if not the best song on the album.
Okay, yeah, it's one of the better songs for sure. Really interesting song. And that leads us right into the final track, Still Here. And Still Here, the first part of it, it's the longest track, let's put it that way. It's about 4 minutes, and the beginning of it felt like it could be an interesting song. The crescendo at the beginning was really cool. I thought that was really nice. The keyboard in the beginning was really good. But as time passed, it turned less into a song and more of like a weird mosh pit, kind of ironically, of all the songs coming together. I didn't really enjoy it that much.
Yeah.
It seems nice in practice. It seems like it has promise in practice. But when it was put together and mixed together, I don't know if there was a weird mix that happened. I don't know if it was just the tracks didn't blend well together, which is a possibility, because these tracks do kind of stand on their own instead of come together for one whole cohesive thing. And I think that it left a lot to be desired for a final track, which is something that has differed from the other albums that we have reviewed.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like one thing that I can give this track is that it definitely is the song to end off the album. I don't feel like it's a good song to end off the album, but if you were to have this song maybe midway through, it would not make sense at all. So just this ending off is good, but it's just the beginning was nice, and I feel like the middle was jumbled, and then at the end it just got plain weird. I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah, it was just a weird ending, an interesting take from this band. I can't say a whole lot of great about it. I do think the beginning is strong, but it was just an interesting track, and I think they could have maybe developed it a little more had they put a little more time into it. And now we're going to give our final thoughts on the album, first by showing our scores. 3, 2, 1. Okay.
All right.
So,
I mean, in the ballpark.
Yeah, pretty close. Is there anything you have to say about your score?
Yeah, first off, I'm gonna say for my score, the 5- was just written down after my initial thoughts on the album. I will bump it up ever so slightly to a solid 5. I think the album is a solid 5 rather than a negative, like a 5-. But that all being said, I do think it is a solid 5, and I don't think I could be really persuaded that it's a 6 or a 4. I just feel like it's in the middle of the ballpark. Some of the songs were really nice, but some of the other songs were big misses, especially the ending right there.
Yeah, I can definitely agree. With my scoring of it, I don't think you gain a whole lot after the initial listen into in-depth listens. Maybe the beats will stick out to you more, maybe some more specific parts of the lyrics will stick out more. But all in all, I think the initial listen is what you get, you know? What you see is what you get in this album, and I think that's not a bad thing, but it's not a terrible thing, you know? It kind of depends on the day for me. One day I'll be like, man, this is just like a 4. And maybe I'll listen to it a few hours later and think, geez, this is like a 7. And I couldn't really ever nail it down. I never knew how I felt about how the tracks flowed, how I felt about how the songs were very different from each other, and I think I finally just grounded my thoughts and said, this is about a 6. On a good day, it can be a 7. On a bad day, it could be a 5. But I think all in all, these are quality tracks on a quality album. There are some really great songs like Pink Pilot, some really not great songs like The Ending Still Here. And I think that altogether, it makes an above average album that I would re-listen to a little bit, especially for the better songs, in my opinion. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. It'll help us give some motivation for keeping going and making these videos. We're really enjoying it so far, and we want to keep doing this, but we need your support. Also, I made a playlist with a lot of songs that are made by smaller artists that I definitely think you should check out. Link in the description. Here while I'm talking, I'm going to display some of the songs that I'm listening to right now, and I'll keep doing that as the playlist evolves, as I hear more and what I'm listening to changes. Also, links down in the description again for our social medias. Check those out. We post updates on when we're going to upload, and we post when our uploads are up, so please check that out. And other than that, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Have a good day.